Old woman finds letter written by her best friend 46 years ago. Husband forbids her to read it. An old woman stumbled upon a 46-year-old letter written by her best friend, but is shocked when her husband attempts to stop her from reading it. Christy Martin lived alongside her husband Alex in a beautiful home they bought after retiring from their careers. Their life was a dream. Christy still had a lot going on, but she loved the activity. Apparently, they kept her young, while her husband preferred to lounge around the house, or specifically in his man cave doing all sorts of things. They loved each other very much and were quite happy with their life. They'd been married for 45 years, even though things started roughly for them. Many of their friends who knew them when they started as lovers would often say that it was the trials they went through together that melded them. Indeed, the couple endured a lot of things. For instance, their parents were against them getting married for reasons beyond both Christy and Alex's comprehension. When they clocked 18, Christy and Alex ran away from their homes together and traveled to another city where they went on to get married and make a life for themselves. Their marriage was a small, business-like affair, but the two genuinely loved each other and it was pretty apparent. The lovebirds toiled for years just to get by, and things were tough for them, but they put their all into it and comforted each other. They worked the business aspect of New York side by side, quickly making a name for themselves because of their practical cooperation, and then retired decades later when they decided they'd made enough. They had no kids because Christy was barren, but Alex didn't mind. He wanted to be with her. Everyone who knew them wished to have a relationship like theirs, and with good reason, those two mixed. But despite all that, their peace was shaken one day and it almost ruined everything. That fateful day, Christy had decided to clean out their attic because she had plans for it. But in the middle of doing that, she stumbled upon an old, ragged bag. "This isn't mine," she thought, examining it. "Could it be Alex's? Must be," she concluded. "I've never had this type of bag." She was about to set it aside when she caught a glimpse of a tag attached to the bag. It was a bit faded, but Christy was able to make out her best friend's name, Julie Hill. Because of her discovery, Christy suspended her cleaning and went to her husband with the bag. "Look, look," she screamed, "it's Julie's bag." "What?" Alex, who'd been dozing in the living room, asked. "Remember Julie?" Christy asked. "My best friend from high school? That last day before we left, when I was at home with my family, she came to visit me and accidentally forgot this." "Oh, that's right," Alex said, suddenly looking alert. "It was difficult to get past your parents because they had you grounded with hopes that you'd forget me." "Yes, returning the bag was the excuse I made that day for them to let me out," Christy beamed. She looked fondly at the bag for another moment, then unzipped it to see if there was anything in it. It was empty except for a sheet of paper folded in two. As soon as Christy brought it out, Alex went stiff. "What's that?" he asked a bit too loudly, drawing Christy's attention. "I think it's a letter from Julie," she said. "It says, 'To my soul sister.' That's a nickname she gave me when we promised to have each other's back." Immediately after she uttered those words, Alex stood up and tried to snatch the letter from her. She quickly waved it out of the way and asked why he was so excited. "I'd just like to know what's in the letter," he said with a gruff, his bad energy radiating out of him. "Well, so would I, so be patient while I read it out loud," she said. It began with a warning. "Be sure to read this, Christy. You should know it's about Alex." Alex looked painfully at the letter after she read that out, but he remained quiet. With shaky hands and a suddenly tight throat, Christy went back to reading the letter, this time silently. "Hi, Christy. I couldn't dare tell you this in person, so I'll write it here. Alex is cheating on you. I saw him in a bar with another girl. I saw him hug and kiss her before they left together. I caught up with him later and said that I would tell you everything, but he began to threaten me. I ask you very strongly not to tell him that I told you this and not to go with him. Just leave him as soon as you can." "What's this?" Christy asked, her voice and hands shaking. "What does it say?" he asked, still looking tight-faced. "You cheated on me?" Christy asked, her eyes quickly filling with tears. "I never did that," Alex said, but Christy was no longer listening. She just grabbed a jacket and left the house. "Darling, I promise I never did that. Where are you going?" he asked her, following her about. "I'm going for a stroll, and no, you're not invited," she called back as she slammed the front door, leaving him to go through the letter she found. "So this was your last gamble?" he muttered, after reading the letter. Alex looked for his wife but had no luck. Finally, after several hours passed, he called the police out of fear. "You can only file a missing person report after 48 hours, sir," he was told. Christy returned home a few hours later, but she'd become frigid. "Don't ever come near me again," she told him, but he was prepared for that. In turn, he brought out several other letters written in Lauren's handwriting but addressed to him. One read, "You will never be with her, you will only be with me, and I will not stop until I have achieved this. If I must, I'll get rid of her so she will not get you." Not willing to believe that her best friend could have written that, Christy opened another letter. "Christy doesn't deserve you," it read. "All she does is sit there and look pretty while you run around for her. I would run around for you and worship you. I'm waiting at the gift shop, please pick me up." Hands shaking, she opened a third. "If you won't leave her, I'm going to get Christy to leave you, and that won't be hard. Rumors about me and you getting cozy in clubs will soon spread. Then you'll have no choice but to accept what's between us." For the second time that day, Christy was stunned. She couldn't believe what her friend had been ready to do. She hugged Alex and begged his forgiveness for doubting his sincerity. "But why didn't you tell me? To think I was so unsuspecting of her," the stunned woman said. "I just wanted to help you preserve the memory you have of her." The couple lived out the rest of their years happily, but Christy still made a mental note to give Lauren a piece of her mind. What lessons did we learn from this story? Beware of your close friends. Christy had no idea that Lauren would attempt what she did, and if Alex had not kept some evidence to discount the scheming Lauren's claims, it might have spelled the end of their union. Communication is important. Alex could have handled things better by letting Christy know what her friend was up to. That highlights the importance of being able to tell your partner everything to avoid misunderstandings. Share this story with your friends and family. It might brighten their day and inspire them. The world is filled with stories going viral every single day. But how many of these sites can you actually follow? We understand that your day should start with positive stories, stories that resonate with you. And so we started JoJo Stories. Our mission is to create meaningful stories that cover everything from animals to anthropology, history to environment and lifestyle. The kind of content you read on our site will be one you'll want to share with your family and friends. We hope you'll join our growing family and be part of our community. Welcome to JoJo Stories. JoJoStories.com